Hello, today we are talking poetry, and we've got two people here one from Boston, one from Saginaw, and we're going to be talking about the Theodore Roethke Memorial Arts and Festival, but only one part of it, one concert. And this is an entire concert with music set to Theodore Roethke's poems, and he is a Saginaw native who won, as I keep saying, a Pulitzer Prize. It takes place at 7:30 p.m. at First Presbyterian in Saginaw, and it's free, and it's on March 23rd. So, who suggested the idea of, and this festival has been going on, 20 years anyway. There's never been a concert devoted only to his music. Who came up with the idea?
So, hello, I'm Licia Sigurdsman, and I am the Director of Choral Studies at SVSU. And I have been invited by the coordinator of this festival, Dr. Carlos Remet. SVSU ensembles have participated in this festival, but I think in other areas, right, with instrumental ensembles.
Right.
And when he brought this idea, my initial thought was to make sure that all the music had his poems portrayed. And I started to investigate, and the initial idea was to have a choir concert. But having an entire concert with a particular theme that is so narrow like this one could be a little bit challenging for us to prepare in such a short amount of time since we have so many other concerts. And so I thought maybe we could see choir and a soloist. And at that very week that Carlos invited me, I had the pleasure to meet Emily. And I gave her just to tell her this idea, and then she told me this whole story about how she lived by a house nearby Theodore Roethke's house, and then we just found this incredible connection. And she also had a few ideas about Theodore Roethke's music, and so that's how it came about that everything was going to be Theodore Roethke's text, and the partnership with Emily started.
I think if I've counted right, there's 14 selections, 3 of them premieres. Emily, you commissioned one. And it's one of his whimsical, and he's not whimsical very often, but called The Sloth. You said you submitted some suggestions to the composer, and then some back, and then you picked The Sloth. Why did you pick that one out of all of the ones you could have picked?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Janet. My name's Emily. And yeah, I grew up on Malzahn Street in Saginaw, which is right around the corner from the Roethke house. And there already exist many songs that are set to his poetry. And so when I wanted to add some new music and add a female composer's voice to this concert, first I reached out to the composer. Her name is Elena Ruhr. She's a Guggenheim Fellow. She's from Houghton, Michigan originally, and she lives in Boston. And so then we had to decide which of the hundreds of poems to choose. So we had to pick something that was brief, and I wanted something that was, as you say, whimsical. But the thing that really clinched it is that we found video of Theodore Roethke actually reading The Sloth.
Oh.
So I believe it's in his house. We'll get confirmation on that. But he's sitting in an armchair and he's reading this poem. Deadpan, absolutely deadpan, no humor at all. But his voice has this regular cadence, which has a rhythm to it. And so we're actually incorporating that video into the piece of music in a really great way. So I'm so excited to bring the premiere to Saginaw and to have everybody hear it.
So that's how you picked it. You knew about the video somehow?
Yes, we found the video. There is some audio of him reading other poems, but the fact that there was video, it just made it felt very real to me.
What does it sound like? I know what the poem sounds like, but what does the music sound like?
So it's for voice and viola, and the viola has sort of a perpetual motion figure just going throughout. It never stops, it never slows down, and it's not very sloth-like. It's quite fast. However, the vocal line is the sloth. It's very slow and spread out, and so it's great. It's a really great setting. I really enjoy it.
And I was going to ask, well, I'll ask it later. So, Letitia, tell me about, you have two premieres. One's The Waking, which I'm really interested in because that's one of his seminal poems, composed by Colin Whitfield, who used to be a minister of music at First Presbyterian. What's that one like? And who chose it? Yeah,
So that we are premiering the two pieces by Colin, and when I invited him, the idea to invite him, first of all, was because I wanted everybody that was involved in this to have some connection to Michigan, right?
Okay.
And when I invited Colin, he said right away, I wanted to write for The Waken because that's such a beautiful poem. And so that was set.
Yeah.
And then after that, he did tell me a few selections that already have the text on, and he said, but it does already exist. But I said, well, but that will be your own. So he was very enthusiastic about writing for that one, and that's how it came to be. And the piece it's just fabulous. It's beautiful. It's written for SSA, so sopranos, treble voices, right? Soprano, mezzo, and altos, and accompanied by piano. And because he's a pianist and he knows how much I love great piano accompaniments, it is just a brilliant piano accompaniment.
So that's kind of a somber poem. Does the music sound somber?
It is. I actually have a little quote from him here that, let's see if I can find it very quick. Yes. Roethke's The Waken is a much less literal observational text in comparison to the other piece that he composed. It is a deeply philosophical exploration of the self, exploring elements, themes like the paradox of living or dying throughout life, embracing uncertainty and the unknown, being open to the transformative miracles of nature, and learning how to live in the moment. And the music really reflects that. It's very calm, and it is very emotional. And the harmonic progressions that he uses, it really sets the tone for this.
I had asked Emily earlier if it's difficult to sing poems, and she surprised me with her answer, because I would think it would be hard to vocally match the cadence of a poem, but she pointed out a lot of vocal works are based on poems. So how do each of you feel? Is it a challenge or apparently not? Emily?
Sure. And actually most art songs are set to poems, as you say. And even if you think about your favorite pop tunes, there's usually some rhymes in there too. So so the rhymes help the structure of the song. So it's kind of a pleasure to sort of, every time you sort of encounter a rhymed word, it's a pleasant experience. And then in Roethke's case, he used so much beautiful assonance, and his sounds that aren't rhymes are still very beautiful, and they feel good in the mouth to sing.
That's interesting. And how about you, Letitia? Do you find it difficult because you're a singer too, I know.
I am. I don't find it difficult. I think the structure of the music is very much what the composers write, and that you will find pieces that might be difficult to sing, and the lyrics might be a little bit displaced from their own cadence, but that very much depend on how the composer writes, not necessarily on the genre of the text. So it's
okay.
Yeah.
Hadn't thought of that. See, I'm learning some stuff today. So, and Emily, how did you choose I think you're singing 10 pieces, I believe. How did you choose the rest out of everything that's out there?
Yeah, it's a combination of the songs that are available and that I can get my hands on, and then the songs that suit my voice. So so it's a little bit of a challenge to kind of match all those things together. There was a composer, an American composer who recently passed away named Ned Rorem, who was one of the greatest song composers in America. And he loved Roethke's poems and wrote more Roethke settings than any other single composer. So, and they're beautiful. They're really great settings. So that was an easy choice to move toward his works. And I'm performing a set that were commissioned by a singer, by Alice Esty, and that's always you feel like you're getting to know the singer, even though they're not there when you perform pieces that were tailored specifically to her voice.
You are being accompanied by Colin as well, correct, Emily?
Correct.
Right. So I don't even know how to ask the question of, is there any narration going on or just strictly music?
Yeah, that's a good question. And Leticia and I have discussed possibly having some readings of poetry. And if you come to a concert that I'm performing on, you're probably going to hear some narration from the stage anyways. I can't help myself sometimes. But I don't think we've worked out. I'll turn it to Leticia and see if she's planning for any additional readings.
So what we have, I mean, we are still working together. We are still 15 days out from the concert, so we are still finalizing everything. It is a long time, but what we mainly are going to have are a little bit of explanations on the pieces themselves. We have considered having poetry being read in between, but there is a session of the festival that is poetry reading, so we don't want to double up, but we'll have some background on the music, and maybe it'll be just Emily and I. We also have invited a few other people to just make some introductions. So it'll be a surprise.
Yeah. Did either of you, and I know Emily, you've sung his work before, but did either of you, in preparing to sing his lyrics, so to speak, did you do any research on Roethke or whatever? Leticia, did you even know about him before you came to SVSU?
I did not know about him before I came to SVSU, but since I started working on this project, I did some readings of him, but my music selections were not based on this knowledge because I turned it in to the people who I invited. So Colin, he asked me, so what do you want me to compose for you? And I said, well, you can write whatever feels most comfortable for you. He knows me very well because he plays for my choir at the Midland Center for the Arts. And so we have been working together for 3 years. And he knows what kind of music I like. So the only thing I did tell him is, you know what I like. Please don't write anything that I don't like. And he was very great. And by the time that he sent me a recording that he played himself and sang the melody, I loved both pieces that he conducted. The other text was Night Journey. So two contrasting but complementary in the way that he put it together. And then the other selections, I turned into Emily and I said, whatever you would like to sing that makes sense for you. So my knowledge was more like just to know what I was working with, but not necessarily to put it together. And then knowing the text of The Waken, I selected one of the additional pieces that have already been composed before by Giselle Byers. So I selected that text. And it's very funny that there's different settings of The Waken, because that one is titled The Waken, but it's the text of I Stroll Across the Open Field. So it is very interesting. We'll have 2 pieces titled The Waken with different texts, and Emily singing the same text, I Stroll Across, but with a different title.
Emily, did you tell your composer, you better compose something I like?
No, it's every time you commission a piece, and I'm so excited to hear Colin's works, Leticia. It's going to be it's so great to hear new music all the time. And every time you begin a new relationship with a poet and a composer, that dynamic is a little bit different every time. So for this one, Elena has written for me before, and I'm familiar with her music. So it was more that, in the same way that Leticia did, like I knew that I liked what she did without any prompting, And so I was pretty sure that it was going to be a good fit in the end.
Deal.
Yeah.
Emily did a little research for me and found that there have been 50 settings of 34 Roethke poems, give or take. That is incredible, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean,
yeah, and I feel like, growing up in Saginaw, we knew about Theodore Roethke, but I think that a lot of people don't. And for composers across the country and world to be writing his texts, I think that his poetry had an incredible influence.
Yep. Letitia, what, and then Emily too, what do you hope happens to these 3 premieres after the fact?
Well, the pieces that Colin wrote are really, really excellent. And I do hope that we can have good recordings out of it. And then they are well spread and become well known. They are just beautiful pieces. I know that pieces for voice and viola are not very, very common.
Yeah.
So I hope that this one will also help to grow that kind of repertoire.
Yeah, and I sing. I do a lot of ensemble singing, and a lot of my work is for treble choirs. So I'm always excited to see new works enter the repertoire for treble voices. And the industry today has changed in terms of publications. So a lot of composers do their own engraving, and then they self-publish their works. So
I didn't know. Okay.
So I would have to talk to Colin, but I would guess that he would be willing to distribute this piece as a self-published piece for more treble ensembles to get to know.
And then how about yours? Will you do the same thing?
Yeah, it's very interesting because I'll have to talk to Elena about it, because the video is integrated into the piece of music. So we purchased a license to play it once at this concert, but there would have to be another intellectual property license if you wanted to distribute it and have it for other performances.
Yeah. Each of you, what do you hope people take away from this concert? Letitia?
I think that valuing whatever's local, and that was one of the things that I wanted to do from the start of this project. Bring everything that we can do here. It is the school that is doing this together, the local university that is doing this with music, from texts by a poet from here, with the soloist from here, with our composer Colin. He is from Michigan and he lives in Midland, so he's also local. So I feel like my idea with all of this is to value what we have here. Sometimes we want to value what is from outside, what is from a different place, or something that seems that's bigger than us. But what can we do here that is so big that we can show other places how important we are, and then we can value our own community and our own people.
Okay, Emily?
Yeah, I completely agree. I would love audience members to know that this kind of performance happens in Saginaw, and that they can come, and that it will be, it's a free concert. Like, what in our lives is free anymore? So you get a chance to come and see a beautiful space and hear people really, regardless, they're going to be giving their all, 100% in terms of performance. And that's really special for the singers too, for all of the members of the ensemble. And I want them to feel like that this journey was exciting for them and valuable, and that people came and appreciated it.
Letitia, did you say there are 2 different choirs singing your 3 pieces?
Yes, so the pieces that Colin premiered, they were written for the treble choir at SVSU, which is the Cardinal Singers. And we also have a mixed choir, which is our concert choir, also at the university, that is singing the piece that was already composed before.
Anything else either of you wish to add?
I would like to say, so a lot of Theodore Roethke's poetry came out of the fact that his father owned a greenhouse, and so he was surrounded his entire life with plants and growing things. And I just saw my first snowdrops in my front garden yesterday. So spring is coming. You can almost taste it. And so a lot of that imagery is present in his work. And I think that this will be a hopeful and inspiring concert.
Okay, Letitia?
I just wanted to welcome everybody to see this concert. Thank you, the university and the Saginaw Community Foundation, for sponsoring us. Without them, all of these commissions and performance would not be possible. So thank you for all those who allowed us to have this concert. And thank you for inviting us to participate. It's such an honor to be part of such an important event for this community. So thank you.
I also wanted to, who's listening, there is a companion written piece to this on all the Facebook pages where this will appear that gives a whole schedule that I've written about I think there's 5 events in all. So you can check there if you're interested. And there's also a flyer. So you can check to see what else is going on at the festival, including an award. I think, I need to repeat it. And if I make a mistake, gals, it is March 23rd, which is a Monday. 7:30 at First Presbyterian Church in Saginaw. It is handicapped accessible, has a big parking lot. So I think if you don't attend, you have no excuse, okay? If there's anything else either of you wish to add, I think we're good.
No, thank you so much, Janet.
Okay, all right.
Thank you.
See you soon.
Bye.